Welcome, everyone, to A Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to be the official Adopt a Lothal Cat, Not a Droid podcast in the galaxy. I'm your host, one of them. There's three of us. I'm Jason, the Ginger Jedi Guy, broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. Unfortunately, I'm not alone, as I previously mentioned, so I'm going to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. First up is my neighbor from Corellia, my favorite neighbor Cole, wanted on 13 planets in and around the Outer Rim, but cleared of all charges on Uranus.
I really got to start reading these show notes before I get on mic because that made me giggle. Really,
I like that you don't. So, like, even right in front of your face, I still could pass it off.
You like the true reaction, live and in person. Question: are we going to have a lead female singer come in and do like adopt a Lothal cat?
In the arms of a Lothal.
Sarah McLachlan. What's she up to?
Probably nothing these days.
Yeah.
Lilith Fair is dead and over with.
We may address that question about droid hate later on in the show.
Okay.
Maybe next episode. Who knows? I don't remember where
It's coming though.
But thank you for having me down, Jason. Thank you for allowing me to traverse the hyperspace lanes and clearing a pathway.
I appreciate that you did. You jumped in a little
house.
ghost, and or rather, it would be what's the small guy?
The Phantom.
The Phantom. Yeah.
No one even seen me coming, like a fucking burglar.
But I heard you.
Why is that?
Coming.
Oh, okay. I'm very, very vocal. We do have a third micer coming in hot from the Skype lines, or
filled with regret.
I'm sure he is. Welcome to the show, Darth Mathias. Matt.
Blah, 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 blah.
Now he's Charlie Brown's teacher.
That's what Chopper is. Do you think, because Dave Filoni is the voice of Chopper, do you think that he is actually swearing and it's muffled? Because there are Reddit threads out there that swear that there are times where he is cussing and it's basically just a muffled version of it. It's
like him doing like his best version of like a Christian Bale or Tom Cruise rant. And then they just turn it into garbled.
Yes.
I have to say, if we're going to revise our old Who's on Our Droid Mount Rushmore, I think Chopper got slighted because I forgot how much I love that little son of a bitch after watching the Rebels.
He's definitely got some personality.
Yeah, he's definitely got something.
He's got a killer instinct.
Yeah. He's such a shithead at times, though. It's like, God damn, you fucker. But then again, he's dealing with, with Ezra and Zeb, and they're a couple of morons, too. So.
Yeah.
If you want to reach out to the show or find our show, you can find us.
I do.
You know how to, but they might not. From a certain point askew.com, our Twitter handle is at FACPApod, and we are. You can email the show, FACPApod@gmail.com. We love when you email the show because it goes into our Maul Bag, which we'll have some of those later. We are also a part of the Podawan Podcast Network. We recorded another episode. Just kidding.
Oh, man.
I just wanted to see the look. You can find that account on Twitter at PODAWANS, Podawans.
Okay, on the show today, we have the question of the week, which involves some droid scum. In the news, we got Book of Boba news, Lego Halloween special, and a new short series later this month. Star Wars Rebels Season 1, we're going to cut this baby in half. So the next 2 episodes is our Season 1 coverage. We're going to do episodes 1 through 7. We've got some stuff in the Maul Bag, and the factoid to wrap up the show is Lucas was for Shire crazy before casting A New Hope.
So that wasn't a typo.
That's your hint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you capitalized the S in Shire.
I capitalize every other word. I've got problems.
You did capitalize quite a few of those.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the question of the week before you grade me on my grammar.
No, I won't grade you.
Darth Dickius.
Oh, okay, for me. Question of the week. Throughout Rebels.
I like how you look at Matt and he's like,
he's got his hand extended.
Your
It's your question.
You may, sir. Throughout Rebels and the other Star Wars films, we have witnessed what we will call the less than stellar treatment of droids. Droids to the back of the carriage, their kind not welcome here, and the Han versus 3PO antics.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think these astromechs are treated with such disdain and like second-class citizens when they are often quite helpful in pulling folks out of the frying pan? Extra credit, is Chopper in fact a serial killer, as he is savage towards any of the other droids he encounters on the show?
He really is.
We were talking about it a little bit in the introduction.
Like that one, he fucking opens up the gateway to the sewer and then just fucking pounds them in there.
He's always ramming. He's always fucking like bull rushing other astromechs.
But I like how he's sick enough to he pushes them over and then stops and looks over at his crew who's running up. He's like, I got this, and then pushes him in.
He's kind of like that. Some of his antics towards like Zeb and fucking Ezra are just like, they were like picking on Ezra really hard one episode. I'm like, geez, guys, lighten up. Like,
yeah.
And Chopper's like piling it on top of him.
Or the one where he's just spinning milk cartons at him.
Yeah.
Use the force.
Yep. Hitting him with milk jugs.
Well, yeah, those three are like brothers, you know.
Yeah, they
Ezra,
really are.
Zeb, and Chopper. So they're just constantly harassing each other and fucking with each other. I am a bit torn on this one because, as you know, not a big fan of the sentient robots roaming the earth. You know, there's a lot of companies out there, Boston Dynamics, fucking with that.
I'm looking at you, Boston Dynamics.
I don't want to name any names.
Have you seen the new video where they're doing like the ninja obstacle course?
Yes. Just stop. There's another one where they show the bloopers where the thing keeps falling, and I'm like, yes, this is what I want.
Matt's putting banana peels on the floor, throwing castor oil down.
But in my make-believe mind, I guess I'm more positive on these droids because I do like quite a lot of them. I mean, 3PO is annoying, and we've talked about that, you know, ad nauseum. But there's a lot of droids that I love. So I'm wondering if there is an issue with the fact that the government system of this universe keeps turning over before the like droid ethics legislation makes it to the top.
Right.
Because it's like every time they're just about to cover the droid ethics and it's like, no, new government. Sorry, guys. So because everybody across the galaxy just hates on these things.
They're like secondary citizens of the galaxy. They really are. But it's always that way, right? Top of the food chain always treats everything else like shit.
Well, how many times has R2 pulled, like, you know, Luke's ass out of the fire?
Yeah.
Or Chopper in this series, or, you know, even 3PO a couple times has done something.
He's done something. Trying here.
That's right. He wiped his memory, right?
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
I don't know. And you get like the blatant, like, their kind's not welcome in here, like in A New Hope, and then they fucking kick him to the back of the carriage. Like then they said that's an Imperial order during one of these episodes, right? Or is that the second half?
Yeah, that's the episode 3.
Yeah.
So, well, good question. What do you think, listeners? Are they treated fairly?
And is there a droid that's more savage than Chopper?
Right.
Other than IG-11? Remanufactured.
I was going to say before he was remanufactured or after?
News?
On to the news.
On to the news. So in Boba news, last week, a bit came out from the Star Wars News Net folks that was then rehashed on Bespin Bulletin, talking about the Book of Boba. And it said, quote, Boba Fett will be on a quest of revenge and sporting new armor. So the revenge thing totally makes sense to me because they're talking about all these flashbacks they're going to do. So to show how he was wronged by people in the past and to go back and, you know, exact revenge on them.
The one scene where they announce Book of Boba Fett, he just goes in there and fucking slays what's his face? You know, it's it's a bit revenge. Yes, Bib Fortuna.
Cobb Vanth, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Oh, could be.
He's gonna Mike Tyson him.
But you know, the new armor makes sense because it's going to sell toys, but it's also like, how do you? I get, like the article says, it also helps to differentiate between flashbacks and modern times, like pushing the story forward. But it can't be a completely redesigned look, right? Because I mean, we already got that with Mando, so it's going to have to be like the same color scheme. You know, maybe like a little bit more shinier than and the new paint job he got in the season of The Mandalorian. But I don't think it's going to be. I personally can't accept new. I can't.
Maybe he finally hammers out that bullet wound in the helmet from Chad Bane, and that's new? The difference.
Okay,
it's just is the bullet mark there or not? But no, I see what you're saying. I think they'll just do subtle changes to try to.
And also, like, unless he melts down his own suit, like, where's the Beskar coming from?
He doesn't look like he sports Beskar.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he does. We've talked about that before.
It just looks like it.
Because isn't all of their armor has to be Beskar, right? No, because Mandalorians wasn't.
Well, because like Mando, he had certain parts that were. Yeah. So I think it's just as much Beskar as you can get. It's like a fucking Dungeons and Dragons shit or something. You know what I mean? Like you outfit yourself with whatever you can do.
But his shit's older. Boba Fett's is older. You know, so he could
I
like,
know.
like have the Beskar, and then like, you know, because of all the shit that's gone down on Mandalore and everything else, maybe that's like part of the storytelling is, you know, a little harder to come by these days.
It could be. I just remember when Cobb Vanth was talking about having that armor, it was like it made him almost this superhero character because of the fact that it was so protective.
Right.
Even though it didn't fit him well.
Yeah. And he had an unlimited amount of rockets for a suit that he found in the Jawa's fucking trash heap, you know?
Right. It also said how that he was going to be looking for individuals who wronged him in the past, including other bounty hunters. So that's another thing that's even more interesting is I can't wait to see all these bounty hunters.
Chad Bane. You're going to see the shootout between the two of them in live action.
That would be fucking awesome. I hope they do it. I mean, it's another one of those things where the old Star Wars fan in me, like years and years and years ago, that was so worried about the original trilogy being tarnished by more content coming out, is just the complete opposite now. It's like, no, show me everything.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yep.
I want to see it all.
Yeah, for Disney getting a little scared and pulling back after Solo, they stuck around in that era.
Yeah, for sure. So you shared this link with me, and it was just from today. The trailer for the Lego Halloween special dropped. I'll be honest, I think we talked about it on the show, the holiday Lego special they did back around the holidays this last year, wasn't a big fan of. Like, it was kind of for me. Did you guys feel that way, or did you?
I actually never. I started with my kid one time, and then something happened. I didn't finish it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was in the same boat as you. It was nonplussed whatsoever. It was the stupid turkey story or Turduncan or something. Where they're chasing down a special turkey, wasn't that one?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was all around Life Day, and there was all this different stuff. I see where the idea came from, but it wasn't executed all that well. There were a couple funny bits, but it was pretty disappointing in my mind.
Trying too hard?
Maybe, possibly. I don't know. Because I think I've just seen so much. I've seen very comical Star Wars spoofy stuff before, and this wasn't it for me.
Okay.
The synopsis, though, of this, I was just going to share real quickly for those who haven't seen it, is really quick. After the events of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Poe Dameron and BB-8 must make an emergency landing on the volcanic planet Mustafar, where they meet the greedy and conniving Graballa the Hutt. The crime boss has purchased Darth Vader's castle and is renovating it into the galaxy's first all-inclusive Sith-inspired luxury hotel.
Oh my
price
God.
tag on that thing.
Wanna be a graballa, shot
Ooh, I like
caller.
Now, you really know you're a baller if you can take the Disney Cruise Line over there for $6,000 for you and the family and then stay at Mustafar.
It's like there's one bad place in the entire galaxy. It's Mustafar.
Yeah.
Every time someone
Right.
Mustafar. Like, it's like when
Everybody
someone says
shudders.
Mufasa. Yeah.
It's where Jedi go to die. Well, we're
That's
going
what
to
I
find
hear.
out about later in this series. But the one thing I liked, I looked at it, and it looked a little funnier than what we saw from the last holiday
It did.
special, so I'll give it a shot. But one of the things I thought was Mother Talzin shows up, and I was like, oh, nice. Like, she shows up,
Yes.
Darth Maul shows up with those robot chicken legs, you know?
Yep. And he falls over right away.
Yeah. Could be interesting. October 1. On that
Okay,
date.
October 1st.
And there's even a line in it that's basically, kind of gives away the fact that these stories, it's almost from a certain point of skew, right? Like
Yeah.
these stories are told like, oh, maybe these happened or they didn't.
Yeah, because Luke goes the Empire way. In
Yeah.
The one. Yeah, exactly.
So we're not sure if this is going to be canon.
Right.
I'm guessing not.
Okay, fair enough.
Lucas has not put his official stamp.
I'll be honest with you. After the events of Rise of Skywalker, I totally lost track. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh.
My mind blanked.
Oh, no. Last thing, and this is just a real quick blurb. Galaxy of Sounds is this. So again, Star Wars Newsnet put out this rumor. There was a tweet from like Disney Plus Spain. I love how we get shit like this. This is how we
Yes.
got like episode length on Mandalorian season episode titles. And so all that kind of stuff comes out in these weird ways. They had shown something with a date of September 29th, and it just said 7 episodes, and it said Galaxy of Sounds shorts. So I'm not sure what that means. Some people were speculating that it's like, is this just going to be like those vehicle fly-throughs?
That's what I was just going to
the
say.
biomes. Yeah. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, then fine. Like, I mean, I watched them, and it was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then just never, I'm never going to go back to them.
They're disposable.
Yeah, but whatever. So I think that's coming. Yeah, that's coming later this month. So I have a few things starting with Visions on the 22nd, this on the 29th, and then the Halloween special on the 1st.
Did you plug it in this episode or the next one? But the one that will probably bend his brain, where the guy was plotting out where the episodes are going to fall and what show will be next. And
I didn't put it in here because I didn't know
Okay.
if we wanted to walk through it or not. We can certainly do it on our next episode. But yeah, the guy goes back, and based on how everything aligns, he figures out what he thinks is roughly going to be the timeline of all the Star Wars content released over the course of a year.
I'm gonna print it out and put it on my ceiling.
it's a lot. Yeah.
So it's the first thing I see when I wake up. Last thing before I go to bed.
Print out just like the way the movie starts, the crawl.
Yeah.
Oh, the scroll.
Yeah.
Is that what they call that? A crawl?
The crawl. Yeah.
Okay.
God, I teach you things
Every day.
Are you so impressed?
I'm plus. I'm not non-plus.
okay.
I'm plus.
All right.
Should we get into Rebels?
If you dare.
I love you too. Stop mouthing. If you're gonna say it.
Just let it out. It's fine.
Yeah.
We can always edit. I can always edit.
Wait, hold on a minute. Why did you have me get you a beer out and you're drinking your water?
I wanted to finish it. I had opened
Crack it.
All right, I'm cracking it right now. Here you go.
Get that
Ready?
shit open. Oh, it's a White Claw.
Okay, no, it's not. I don't drink that, listeners.
It's a Dark Claw.
It's a IPA. It's a double rice.
It's the opposite of keto friendly.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a bottle of bourbon. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm gonna eat the glass when I'm done drinking it.
It's the hard stuff.
So I remember seeing ads for this show back in, I guess it was 2014 when it came out, and thinking immediately, like I think it was on Disney XD, I believe was the channel that it was on, because they obviously didn't have Disney Plus then.
Yes.
And so I saw the ad for it, and I was instantly in. And when I watched the show, I was instantly in. And I think so much of it was because of the fact that it had that feel of the original trilogy.
Right.
And that's what it immediately brought me in. Because the Clone Wars, as much as I enjoyed it and all that stuff, when it first came out, I kind of skipped over it because it just didn't grab me like this did.
This definitely was made for an older audience too. So I think even going into it later, like I watched the first and second season, I think, while it was, I think some of it on Netflix. Fuck, I don't remember. It was years ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like in trying to go into Clone Wars originally was a little harder. But this one, you're right. Like the feel and like the way it's paced and the way that like even watching it today, every episode today. You're welcome.
Wow.
Fresh.
Even watching it was. They knew their fucking characters. Like, you jump right in with this, and you get a really good feeling of like their chemistry, who each one is, and they're like they feel fleshed out immediately.
Yeah, if you compare it like to the Bad Batch and how it kind of started a little slower, especially the way they've done the character development in Bad Batch, this one certainly is done better.
Yeah, all of them get to talk in this one.
Yeah, there's no Echo character. What did you think of the animation?
I don't know what it is about. I hate the lightsaber work. I'll say that right off the bat. Like the lightsabers are just so skinny and pointy, like a sword looking type of lightsaber. I'm used to a big, thick, veiny lightsaber.
Yeah.
So flaccid, it just didn't do anything for me. I think the animation was good. I struggle sometimes with the emote, like fucking Ezra constantly being emo. What am I gonna do? You know, just fucking.
It seems like
face.
a phase all Padawans go through.
He just got that.
It does. There's a tradition there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my lord. It's some of that. Sometimes some of the, and like we mentioned in the beginning of the show, the paling around between Zeb, Zeb, fucking Clanker, or whatever his name is, and what's his name? Chopper. Zeb, Chopper, and Ezra. They're like. It's a little over the top. Like they can't walk by each other without like boo, two for flinching, you know, like fucking hitting each other and they keep their hands off each other. But I don't know. I struggle a little bit with the animation and the choppiness of the movements. Like it's almost like they couldn't afford the smooth. Like it's like they're flipping a fucking page and all of a sudden he's from here and boom, I'm over here, and then he's jabbing back.
I noticed that too. And I feel like that was it done on purpose? Was it choppy for you? Like when his sword was the Inquisitor.
The Inquisitor.
Yeah, it seemed to like almost change. It was like you're looking through a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's like and their movements. It's like they're striking poses. And ching, 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 like back and forth, like robots almost. You know. Maybe
they were on a short timeline. They're like, guys, we got to get this done.
Yeah, just fighting. Yeah, 7 moves. Bum, 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 bum.
Well, you know, something that animation struggles with, no matter which kind it is running. People always look just so goofy when they run. It's just they can't get the running motion down for some reason. Even in the newer stuff, Bad Batch and all that, because the Bad Batch and the later Clone Wars, the season 7 stuff. I mean, that animation is gorgeous.
Oh man!
As far as the style and stuff, we have a question about that, I think, in the next episode. But the style and stuff, you know, that varies. I think I'm really tied to, you know, the actual storyline more so than the animation. However, there's certain things that stand out, and in this, it definitely felt a little more. I don't know. It also kind of went along with the mood early on was real kind of goofy, like you mentioned with them like fighting each other all the time, and there's a lot more humor, which again felt more like the original trilogy because it was a lot more, you know, kind of goofs in there than you see in the prequels.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed the storyline for sure, definitely, and I like the aspect that we get to learn new stuff too. Like if you're not like or backstory somewhat too. Right?
What is the storyline?
Well, before that, let me say this: the other thing, really quickly, is the music, because it's
all original. Well,
it's all that John Williams stuff.
Yes.
And so, as far as you know, you talk about how much music plays into our emotions and our nostalgia and all that kind of stuff, and the way we feel about things. That's what really brought me into. Like when you hear the Jedi music, when you hear, you know, later certain characters come on screen and you see them and they're playing their theme, it's like, holy fuck, this is great. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you can forgive some of the crudeness of the animation or some of the goofiness of the script because of the fact that you're getting those moments that take you back to your childhood.
Yeah, they like especially when they go to drop a bomb on you, like at the end of the season, right? They drop out. Somebody shows up.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the one.
Fulcrum.
So the basis of this, the first two episodes here is you get like little Ezra Bridger. He's an orphan living on Lothal, right? He's over by himself and.
Fucker's got a nice home with a view.
Yeah, he's got like a communication tower almost, isn't it? I think it's fucking nice.
Like
he's
an old rundown, just got the whole thing.
But you can't even appreciate that. He's leaning on the rail. He's looking over forlornly into the desert. Like he's staring into the sun.
Keep that in mind too, that whole like ship coming over his head while he's standing on that tower. That you'll see that something similar to that later in the series.
Oh, okay.
And but the very first scene is James Earl Jones as Darth Vader talking to the Inquisitor. It's like, fuck, like you're just right in it. And then you jump into the Ezra stuff. I loved how they started it.
Yeah, I guess I totally forgot about that. That was the very first intro. Like,
and then you don't see the Inquisitor for quite a few episodes, nor the Vader man till the end of the season. It's the opener and the closer, actually.
Yeah, for sure. And I like Jason Isaacs a lot, the guy who does the voice for the Inquisitor. He's fucking brilliant.
So you basically got this crew of you don't really know that they're rebels at this point in time. They could be just like a ragtag bunch of people. They're hijacking I think a crate of blasters or something.
Yeah.
Off of the Empire. So you get this sense that they've worked together in the past. You know, there's Zeb, the big Lasat dude. He looks like he's like almost the Wookiee, but he's shaved, right? That was the joke.
He's based off the original drawing for the Wookiee, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
There could have been a factoid. FACPAtoid.
Spoom.
Dropped it early.
Nope.
You're welcome.
That was a spoiler. Boom. Drop the mic.
So we got Zeb Aurelius, however you say that. Sabine, who's the Mandalorian, female Mandalorian, right? She's got her Mandalorian armor all painted, and it comes in later into play. She's a bit of an artiste.
Bit of a tagger.
Yeah. She needs to find a boxcar somewhere and just go to town.
Sabine was here on every fucking wall in Lothal.
Well, you know what's funny too is those are two words put together. There was a 4-episode short thing that they dropped a few months before this season started, and it was just like these little 3-minute shorts, kind of introducing the characters. And so one was Kanan and Hera, one was Sabine, one was Zeb, and then one was Ezra. And in that, there's a scene where it's like her basically going and fucking with these stormtroopers and their TIE fighters and blowing all this shit up and painting all this crap. And it's kind of referred to later in the series, but it was kind of a cool way to introduce those characters.
I remember those.
She's a bit of a what do you call it? Person that likes explosions.
Pyromaniac?
Yeah, I guess she would be. She really likes a big boom, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yep. And then so he sees them. He sees like that they're up to something. He gets that first like force tingle in him, like that moment where you're going through puberty and you're like, wait a minute, something just moved. It's
That's a
like
sexy man down there.
Someone give me my math book.
Why do I feel this way?
And watches them essentially. Well, he figures out that they're trying to steal these crates, and he's like, well, that's worth some money. I mean, he's a street kid. He's trying to like make ends meet and do whatever he can. And so I just love the fact that he jumps in there and is like, see you later, takes their shit and gets out of there.
And the chase is on.
Yeah.
Down the never-ending highway, like in the Matrix. What's the second one called?
Reloaded?
Not Revolutions. Reloaded, yeah.
So like he joins their little, well, he kind of like he jumps in and intercepts them and takes one of their crates, right? He figures like, every man for themselves. He's got this whole I'm a loner, street rat, by myself type kid, and he doesn't trust anyone. That's his thing. You see it early on in the thing in the show where one of the crews or one of the squads is roughing up one of the guys that's selling fruit.
Yeah, right, that's sort of your introduction to him.
Yep, and he knocks him, and then like he comes through and like steals the comm community, like got a code red over here on lot 7, and they all go running off, and then the guy tries to offer him a piece of fruit. Thanks for saving my fruit, and he's like, okay. He loads up his bag with the guy's fruit. It's like, yeah, I didn't do that for.
And the guy has a problem with it. He's like, dude, I just got you out of jail. Like, we have to have this conversation.
Yeah. You were gonna be in a much worse spot. So I think I can take as many pieces of this fruit as I want. It's interesting too because once the shooting starts, this is not the last part of the Bad Batch. They are smoking fools. Yes. Everybody's dying.
Yeah.
No fucking around.
No stun guns.
No.
They make reference to it later on. I think it's Grand Moff Tarkin shows up, right? And he says something to the effect, "Oh, this rebel, what does he call him? It's like a cell. Yeah, like they're terrorist cells, right? Like this rebel cell is a lot more compassionate than the other rebel cells. And they're like, I've seen him killing fuckers left and right, pushing
Yeah,
people.
there's been a couple explosions.
Chopper alone has killed 3 droids.
Right.
Yeah, I think they soften as the season goes on and start killing less people and just knocking them out. They start showing stormtroopers kind of dazed more than dead. But yeah, early on they're killing them all.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I want to see more fucking
Death.
Who hurt
bucket
you?
heads. I want to see more bucket heads just mounted on the wall.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Well,
about.
and then Ezra pulls that move. Basically, he runs off with that crate, and the TIE fighter comes in and starts shooting at him, and he does that crazy jump move with the crate and gets on the ship. And that's where I think Kanan kind of gets the sense of like, whoa, this kid's a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get this kid.
He's got some feels about him.
Recruitment.
Yep. And did you like how when he goes into space and he realizes that he's in space, it was very Omega-like. He's like, all of a sudden he's like, holy shit. And then he lets out that line, I'm in space, pause, and I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But again, the music, man, it's like the TIE fighters come in and it's a new hope. It's it's that same music. It just draws that shit out of me. Every episode I watched, they would pull that music in and it just got me every time.
You get the goosebumps? The goose
Always.
flesh?
There's a lot of goosebumpy moments throughout this whole series. I did like the fact, by the way, that when he meets Sabine, she takes her helmet off and he just gets instant boner and it's like,
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
He's always trying to, well, hey, I like your drawings, remember? Like he's always trying to impress her.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Uh-huh.
Well, so he's 14. She is 16. So it's like she's the junior in high school.
She's
a
only
freshman.
16?
She's only 16.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I thought Ezra was older than that.
No, he's only 14. He turns 15 in this first season because when they get to Empire Day, that's 15. That's the 15th anniversary, and that's the day he was born. So
Okay.
Then we meet Agent Kallus, who is voiced by
The Obi-Wan guy.
David Oyelowo, the guy who played
does he?
like Martin Luther King and Selma.
Yep.
He's been in a bunch of shit. He's
And
the voice of Agent Kallus.
We just talked about he's going to be the retired Tuskegee Airman that's going to take over as the Rocketeer in the Disney Plus series.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so that's cool. I mean, they get great actors for these
Mhm.
voice parts. Obviously, the greatest actor of all time, Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm just kidding. He's fine. He does a
I
really
think
very
he does
good
a
job.
great job in that show.
He's all
He
that.
does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey-o.
There you go. Hey-o.
Wow.
I'm a big fan of Agent Kallus's wiffle ball helmet. It's fucking
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's like they usually don't let those kinds of kids out on the field to play.
Well, we'll get to Tarkin later because his is worse. But
Looks like that dark helmet, like Spaceballs, where they're in the desert.
Yes,
and he's got like the
yes.
brown one on.
yeah, I was like, hey, nice life helmet, nerd. Like, what the hell is that thing?
I was
So-
born with big gums, sir.
But Kallus, don't you love how his helmet masks his facial hair, and then when he takes off, you're like, oh, everything's all covered up exactly by your little helmet.
Although, you know
That's
what
so
I do
weird.
gotta say is, out of all the characters like in that vein that we've seen in all the Star Wars stuff, like he's got some balls. Like he's always putting himself out in the field. He's
yeah.
fighting. He's shooting. You know,
Leads from the
he
front.
goes mano a mano with Zeb at one point,
Yep.
and lets him know he fucking killed his people. So you know what? He's kind of got some grit to him.
Yeah, and he develops really well in the show. I like him a lot more as the show goes on. He's a good villain.
And
Yes.
he's got some killer lamb chops.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
He was bone with him.
Bone with him. All right, so they go at some point in time. They go to what do they go back to the ship for? They're coming back for the ship. Did they lose their? They have another mission?
They're going to take their blaster rifles to that place and sell them to that Vizago. guy.
Vizago fella.
Mm.
And then they end up going back and boarding the ship for another reason. I can't remember why. I didn't write it down in my plot point.
Well, did Vizago remind you of anybody? A little bit like Roland Durand. Had the broken horn. The guy runs a syndicate called the Broken Horn.
Nice.
Right on the nose.
Nailed it.
Maybe he crossed the pikes too. Maybe that's just what they do to everybody. Break your fucking horn off. But yeah, Vizago pays them some of the money for the guns they bring. And they're really, of course, painted as heroes here because they're like bringing food to these people that are living in quote unquote Tarkin town and all that. He sells some of the rifles, but Vizago's like, I got some info for you. And that's when and they go, the Wookiees? You know
That's
about the
what
Wookiees?
it was. Yeah, so they're going on that mission to rescue the Wookiees, which it was a trap, and then they're trying to figure out whether or not Vizago double-crossed them for a little bit. They didn't. They kind of just blow that off. Like, 50-50 chance that Vizago was selling us
Yeah.
out here.
Well, I think that what ends up happening, though, is it's because they go, they go aboard that ship, and then Ezra hears where the Wookiees are. And then Callus realizes that he had the comms on and knows where they're going.
Right.
That's why it's the trap, is because he knew that he had overheard that information. I think that's why.
They're going to go make a Kessel run.
Yeah, that's because, Zeb leaves him behind sitting there for a little bit, right? Like he's sitting in there and he's got his holocron, and they take his little slingshot, his little worthless low-power slingshot blaster off of his wrist, right? And then
it's good for shooting Lothal cats.
It's the bullseye swamp rats.
So yeah, that's when they're in the shootout and Zeb leaves him, right? Like he feels like he has no choice, and then it's like, well, we can't leave him behind.
And then they're all like, Zeb, what did you do? Oh, I thought he was with you.
Oops. I did like how Hera also, right before that happens, before Ezra rushes in, he's like, I'm not fucking helping these people I don't know. He didn't want to go. Like, you got to go warn him. He's like, screw that. I'm fine here. Like, let's get out of here. She's like, she kind of gives him a big guilt trip.
Do you think like Filoni learned his lesson on maybe Anakin was a little too horned up in Clone Wars? For a couple that's, hey, love, they're always talking to each other lovingly. There's never any like, oh, I need a moment in the room with you, like there was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, Mike and Carol Brady were more steamy than these two.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is pretty light romance.
Even when there's a moment like toward the end of the series or the season where there's going to be an embrace, right? And I'm like, we're getting a little something. I'm like, they're going to fucking handshake. It looked like they were going to handshake.
She should straddle him, and they should go back to their quarters and get it on.
I've been waiting to see that.
I never thought I'd see you again. Well, you're seeing me now. That's not a lightsaber in my pants.
We almost didn't come for you, but you know what?
Just kidding. It is a lightsaber, but there's something else down there.
So we do get to see Ezra open the holocron. He uses the Force, but so we suspected when he was drawn to Kanan's lightsaber in the first episode, drawn to the holocron. And then you get to see old boy Obi-Wan pop out and tell him, hey, everybody, all the Jedi are...
Gives a message.
Don't come back to the temple. All right, we're waiting for a new hope, right? That's the whole message of everything. Little shameless plug.
There's quite a few lines.
I thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
Did you like what he told Callus when Callus said, who are you? And he said, Jabba.
Jabba the Hutt. And then later on he goes, he names them all and goes, and Jabba.
Jabba, you have the Padawan Jabba. Falls for it. Not real used to Tatooine lingo. I was gonna say, you discover that Ezra has some Jedi powers, right? And he escapes back off the ship. They get out of there, and the rebels come back for him. The ghost crew comes back for him, and they save his ass. And he's like, no one's ever came back for me before, type of a vibe, And he starts getting the team dynamic, family dynamic for the first time. And this is where Kanan offers to let Ezra be his Padawan at the end of episode 2, basically. And then it kind of cuts to the Inquisitor. It's like, oh, I'm on the case now, bitches, and I'm ready to fuck this shit up.
Yeah, I did like that when we talked about the animation before, the Wookiees, not the best animation.
No,
when they actually went to
terrible.
save the Wookiees. It was pretty rough. It was pretty gross. But I liked that. I liked that moment though when I can't remember what Ezra says about a secret, and that's when Kanan goes, I'm about to let everybody know.
Let everyone
and that's
know.
when he stands up as the lightsaber. He's like, get the Jedi. That was a cool moment too. Got a lot of those moments. I like it.
The camera low angle spins around him. Fucking lightsaber comes out like a pimp.
Yeah, you can see the bulge in his pants. I mean, it's great.
Veiny lightsaber there. I've never seen a lightsaber assembled too. He's got it in 2 pieces, like it's a safety on it or something.
I think it's so people don't recognize it as a lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is too.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that's funny about it, and I think it's maybe the next episode or the one after, I can't remember. You can adjust the height on it.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
Didn't know that was a setting that we had.
All masters have that on their saber so they can train the little ones.
Oh man.
Give it to your kid to play with.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have a knife to cut your crate steak, you just bring it all the way down and just use it as a butcher knife.
You can go to the butter knife setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the very end, right before we go to episode 3, that's when you see Callus reporting to the Grand Inquisitor, hey, I think we found a Jedi. And he's like, okay. So that's when you know he's going to get involved, which is cool because I fucking love the Inquisitor. He is a sweet character.
He was.
So droids in distress. Now, when you saw this come up, a couple things. One, were you like, oh boy.
Skip
and
it.
2, will this be a good way for us to question or further question your question of the week? Because this is where they are treated like shit.
Yeah, you get the real peek behind the curtain of what it's like to be a droid riding public transportation in the galaxy.
Droids in the
They're
back.
treated like bicycles.
Yeah.
It's strapped to the front. You're fine.
Strap him to the front.
So it's the governor, right, of Lothal that is going on like some diplomatic thing, and she's got her
Minister Tua.
right,
Minister Tua.
and then the translator is the droid, but everyone's throwing a fit that the droid gets to be there because it was sort of set up that Ezra. They do like the Return of the Jedi. They all place each other in the
Yes.
different seats of the transporter, and Chopper's throwing a fit, and Ezra's fighting them, and so they all the droids have to go to the back. Now the droid that's flying it, do you recognize this? You have to.
I know you are, but what am I?
Yep. Yeah, you've never been to Disney World, but there's a ride called Star Tours, and the little droid that like is your pilot in your cabin. That's the droid. And Paul Rubin voices the one in Disney World and came back to voice this one as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of Star Wars trivia for you.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Another spoon.
For those of you who have been to Disney World.
I've only
Well,
been
I
to
didn't mean it like that.
Oh, you've never been before. Yeah. Just so you know.
Because I know you've been on the ride.
Here's what you missed.
I do like how, again, a little Bad Batch parallel. Now they're doing a Vizago job again. They're like trying to figure out ways to sustain themselves, and so
Right.
Vizago is almost like their Sid at this point. You know, he's the go-to to get these jobs. Maybe a little more dodgy than Sid.
Yeah, you can never trust these Sids.
You can't. But yeah, then Chopper's being a total dick, and Kanan, gets him pushed to the back, like you said, can't be out here. So they swap in Sabine as the translator, and she says, "Oh yeah, all your shit's on whatever docking bay 17," and it's actually at 7.
Yeah.
So they throw him off. And what do they find?
They find a crate full of particle disruptors, I believe is what they're called, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Which clearly, right off the bat, Zeb does not care for that weapon of choice. He wants them out of circulation, right?
Yep.
And then you comes to find out later on in the episode that
Back on Lothal when they get into a fight with a couple of walkers.
that's what they were using. The Empire was using the particle disruptors on the Lasat people.
Yeah.
Which is Zeb's race, if you're not following.
Right.
So he's having PTSD.
A little PTSD.
And this is where, what's his face? Man with the chops?
Chalice.
Callus.
Yeah, that's where Callus does the whole, I killed your people, I used this weapon, and Zeb is not I like how Kanan's like shooting and firing, he's hiding behind a rock, and he just looks over, he's like, he's gonna die today. Make some joke about like, fucking taunt Zeb. What are you doing?
Well, that was a telling moment too, because it was a bow rifle that Callus was carrying, and Zeb had the same weapon, and then he like fucking taunts him, like challenges him to open combat,
Right.
And then he's like, only the honor guard of the Lasat are allowed to carry this bow rifle, and he's like, I know, that's where I took mine from. I killed one of them.
Yeah.
And that's what fucking the fight goes on, and he gets bested, right? He gets his ass kicked and kind of has to get saved.
Right, yeah. Ezra has that, dark side force moment and just blasts him over and pushes him over. I don't know if that was necessarily dark side, but it was his first like emotional response, which is what I think Kanan is like, uh-oh. Not supposed to use emotions when you do this shit. It's like, why? It works really well.
It sure does.
Well, and they didn't want to do, Zeb doesn't want, they want to get rid of the disruptor rifles. The second Kanan picks that one up and one shots that fucking walker, I'm like, well, let's pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah.
These things might be useful.
Put these on the Ghost.
Well, then he one-shots the walker with it, and he stands there, like just looking at his work. The other walker's like honing in on him. He's like, okay, I'm going to make another move now. Like sidesteps to the left. The blaster comes in and knocks him on his ass. I'm like, bro, fire and like peel left. Go back behind that rock. Go around the other side. I'm like, come on, dude. Fire and maneuver. That's rule number 1 of the fucking basic infantry, bud. There's a moment in this episode where I could have just fucking reached to the TV and strangled 3PO.
I was waiting for it.
Fucking snitches on the entire crew. I'm like, you little metal motherfucker. Like this. It's like, you set your droid race back fucking 100 years every time you do something. That's why they're putting your ass in the back of the bus, because they fucking can't stand you. Fucking idiot.
Yeah, that bothered me. It was one of those where I watched it and I thought, so he just went ahead and messaged the Empire, or did he message thinking it was somebody else and the Empire picked it up? Because they said something about intercepting a message, but I didn't know if he knew who Callus was and he was part of the Empire, or if it was a mistake. But either way, you fucked up.
I read it as him just fucking ratting on them because he's been inconvenienced and taken off from his original masters, right?
He's a rule follower.
He is.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't like to go off script. R2-D2, all off script.
Yeah.
R2-D2 is a bit of an improver.
Very much so. Yes, and.
There you go. So towards like the wrapping up of this episode, they kind of like I have it written down that formal Jedi training starts for Ezra after he does like that Force push, right?
Right.
Like, Kanan's going to take him right under his wing, and then the droids get returned to Bail Organa. You get to see him at the end of this episode as well. He's
Basically do the Princess Leia down on one knee. Let me see your messages.
Yeah, what do you got in there?
Yeah.
You got any text messages?
Droids spy on you. That's why. Show me what you spied.
Yeah.
Another reason that they're at the back of the freight.
Just saying, a little bit leery of that.
Yes, indeed.
So, fight or flight next.
Yeah, episode
4.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's working on his Jedi skills, and I love how Chopper's just fucking with him. He's like trying to like raise the bowl with his mind, and he just starts lifting it up behind. He's like, "I'm doing it." And he's like, "Wah wah." Chopper's such an asshole. But then yeah, Ezra and Zeb fighting. It's very familiar to me, having two sons that are close in age. They just are constantly at each other. But there are some funny lines in this that I'll get to in a little bit later that they have, that once they kind of pair up and are working together, they have some pretty comical lines.
This is the episode where they're because they keep fighting, Hera kicks them off the ship, right?
Yeah, she sends them on a supply run
for now. Yeah,
and she tells them to go get Melu runs,
Yeah.
which are not on Lethal. Basically, an impossible mission.
That's what you think.
True. That's what we all thought, but no, they are.
Mellow runs were there.
I like though how they get them and then escape in the TIE fighter. And they get on the comms with Kanan, and Kanan's like, what are you in right now? And they're like, we stole a TIE fighter. And he goes, you need to get rid of it. And they go, do we have to?
Yeah.
Like, well, hopefully you disabled the tracking beacon or whatever. He's like, yeah, of course we did.
Yeah, we did that.
Is it the red wire or the blue wire? It's both of them. He says it over the intercom like a dad. Bomb both.
Well, and then he says something, Kanan says something about like, meet us at the second rendezvous point or something like that. And he's like, okay. And then Ezra said, well, I think that went pretty well. Do you know where we're going? He's like, no idea.
They're just like two kids let off their leash for the first time.
And this is like where, by the end of this episode, though, this is where Zeb finally like accepts him, because he really dislikes the kid for whatever reason. Doesn't even want him on the ship. Doesn't want to deal with him. And I think part of him poking him is he doesn't like him.
Yeah.
And this is where he sort of earns his respect.
Very distrustful.
Him saving him the previous episode helped.
Yes.
But this is where they really bond.
Yeah, because is this the one where he's running on the rooftop? And he's like, let me in the TIE fighter.
Yes.
Not do you say that I saved you.
Yeah.
Right.
Some real petty shit going on there on that ship.
And then when they're in the TIE fighter, they actually, at some point, the Empire, they come swooping in because that guy's farm, what was his name? Mr. Sumar.
Yeah, yep.
His farm got shot up, and they're trying to rescue them from the troop transport. And then Zeb gets on there. He's like, this is Commander Meluron.
Yeah.
Then he's like later on, they're not listening to Commander Meluron anymore. You get a real vibe from Ezra hanging from the roof of the troop transport. He can't reach the controls to unlock the peasant farmers.
Yes.
And he's like, uses the fort. Real Luke hanging from the fucking icicle ceiling in Hoth.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
And then he does the banana and the tailpipe trick on the cannon.
You don't know about the banana and the tailpipe?
Puts a wrench.
There's a wrench in there and blows that shit up. It was a fucking dope move by Zeb, though, flipping that thing. He was inverted.
Yeah, he was.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No, it was a really cool shot, man. You should have seen it.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty amazing. That little move he did to pick up.
Hanging by his little possum feet.
Yeah, exactly. How are you flying? Yeah.
That's classified.
So episode 5 is Rise of the Old Masters, and this is where the training is just continuing to ramp up. He's trying to train him on top of the ghost hovering in the air.
Yeah, you get the whole do or do not, there is no try. And then he's like, well, how can I do something if I don't try? And he's like, I never really thought that always confused me too. But Yoda used to sure as hell say it a lot. I thought that was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I like the callbacks. But it's funny because he sounds like me, Kanan, talking to my kids. Like, focus, motherfuckers. Like, do your work. I'm kind of a dick.
Oh.
When it comes to the kids.
That's why you two get along.
We have very similar parenting styles. We teach them different things, but we're very similar. And
That's right.
teach them very different things about
Two
society.
ideologies, but similar style.
But we both agree that force is necessary to fucking, you gotta have a strong hand in things. This is the episode where you get the control on the side of the lightsaber, adjusting your height, right? And then he calls it a fucking laser sword in the episode.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, you're not a real fucking Jedi. That's a fucking lightsaber, dick.
Oh, I wonder why he says that. Because that catches you off guard, right? Like it's an explanation of it, I guess, because he's showing this kid who's never seen anything like it. So instead of using the term lightsaber, laser sword, I guess is something that he would understand right away. But even like by then he knows what it does, or he's seen what it does. So just calling it by what it is, I don't know, because there was something else we were watching before where they said laser sword, and we were.
Well, doesn't Luke say it is kind of a joking reference in the sequel trilogy at some point? Doesn't he say something about it? It's
Yes.
more than laser swords or something like that? I can't remember what he says.
When he says, "What am I going to go fight the Empire with a laser sword?"
That's what it is.
Yeah, and then he goes and fights the Empire with a laser sword.
Right. But again, that was after this.
As a projection. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But we meet Senator Gall Travis, who's reporting that Luminara, who we know from Clone Wars. In fact, last time we saw Luminara, she was
Dead.
Well, no, she wasn't dead, I don't think, right? Because it was Barriss Offee was her Padawan.
Yes.
And remember they were on Geonosis, and that's when like Ahsoka and Barriss went off and they got like buried in that rubble.
The maze.
And she's like, oh, they're probably dead. And Anakin's like, no, we're going to go look for them. She's like,
Yes.
You shouldn't do that. They're probably dead.
I thought we saw her again. Wasn't she? Was that the same episode, or was that later where she was in prison, or was that the younger one? What was and they fight Ventress because she goes to kill her in the Clone Wars.
Now I'm confusing it. I thought she made it past the Clone Wars. Maybe I'm wrong.
Barriss gets caught betraying everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
She tries to blow up the temple.
Yep. Because not necessarily because she was dark side, but because she disagreed with the Jedi's ideology.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was sort of a prelude to what Ahsoka would feel like too, except for she decides not to go Unabomber on the Republic.
Again, differing ideologies.
Yeah.
Well, and the senator, by the way, we're led to believe is like, he's pirating in on these Empire messages and trying to give messages to the rebels and all that kind of stuff. And that's why Ezra is so caught up with him, because of the fact that his parents used to do the same exact thing. So he's like, oh, this is just somebody who's just like my parents. And then Kanan's like, oh, Luminara, she should teach you. And he's like, well, fuck you. You're just going to drop me?
Yeah.
So then he gets real butthurt about that. You want to talk about emo?
Yeah.
Very much so over the course of the next episode or so.
There's a whole dynamic there where Ezra's got this fear of abandonment type of a thing going on.
Yeah.
With he thinks Kanan's going to ditch him off on Luminara or whatever. And it ends up being a whole trap, and it's the Inquisitor waiting to fucking bait him in. They get a little shout out to Depa Boba, where the
Balaba.
Inquisitor... Is it Balaba?
Depa Balaba is her
Depa
name.
Balaba. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
They're in the middle of a fucking pitched laser sword battle, and the fucking Inquisitor's like, I see your master was Depa Balaba. She favored Form 3, which you're, what is he saying? You're depending upon in a ridiculous amount.
Yes.
Well, and that's obviously going to come up soon again, because he brings up Balaba later in this season.
Yes, and you also get to see the fucking Inquisitor just take a fucking 5 or 6 laser shots from the little pea shooter slingshot to the chest, just fucking eats them.
Yeah, he does.
Right in the chest. He's like, it's like at the beginning of Lionheart, where the guy's like, he fucking just hits him 3 times.
Lionheart.
No. His fucking fingers.
I want to see that where the Inquisitors in the bottom of an empty pool just fucking having lightsaber fights with people.
Yeah.
Van Damme shows up.
Kanan's showing off all the tricks, by the way, of this episode. He's doing Jedi mind tricks. He's doing, deflections with his. I'm not going to say laser sword. I'm going to say lightsaber.
I would if I were you. Yeah.
A lot of force pulls, pushes, etc. He's kind of showing off the whole arsenal here, which is kind of nice to see him just totally embracing it and doing it. Oh, and one thing I meant to mention too is the guy, Gall Travis. Do you know who that voice is?
Which one was Gall Travis?
He was the dude projecting the message to the rebels, and he ends up being.
Oh no, later. Who is that?
It's Brent Spiner.
It's Data.
Data, exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's always fun for me when I see the credits. I always like, oh, who is that? Like a fucking nerd.
There was a couple times I was watching this. I was like, I should look this up. Now Matt's already gonna have it in the notes.
He'll bring it to me.
Yeah.
They get to the point where they're locked inside the is it Stygian Prime? Is that the name of the
Spire?
Yep. And they've got to get through the door, and they have to Padawan and apprentice and master duel open the door, which comes up again later in the episode when they find the temple on Lothal.
Is the Spire? We've seen this one before, right? Is this the one where they have to break Tarkin out of? Where do we see?
That was the Citadel.
Okay, I could have sworn when they said that I looked it up, and most of the information was this episode. But I thought that we had, and somewhere down the road, had discussed this before. But I guess I was wrong.
There might be something else. I know what you're saying, though. It did look familiar.
Yeah.
We wrap up this episode with Kanan he kind of gets his confidence back. He's like, I'm not gonna try to teach you. You know, he goes back to that whole full circle bullshit. He comes back. Yeah. I'm gonna really teach you, and we're gonna get you into we're gonna make a Jedi out of you yet, my boy.
Well, do you get the feeling that he's a little rusty with his whole force welding powers and stuff too, and that's sort of why the Inquisitor's always whooping his ass? It's not just like his fighting stance or anything. It's just like he's not, he's just not using that. He kind of loses it after a while, I guess.
To paraphrase Darth Vader, your skills are not complete.
Yeah.
He just didn't get the full training, He was still a Padawan when all that shit went down. So I think he is just not fully trained. He's had to do a lot of stuff, a lot of online courses, a lot of University of Phoenix. But
you stole the fucking line right out of my mouth. I was gonna say it. Where'd you get your Jedi degree? University of Phoenix? ITT Tech?
But he also has a confidence issue, and he's got a guilty conscience like no other, because he talks about it later about how like all my failings and all this kind of stuff. So that could be related to the Balaba stuff, or other things too that we haven't seen. So he's got a lot like hanging on his shoulders that is holding him back from really helping Ezra. So the next episode I really enjoyed. Not that I didn't enjoy the other ones, but Breaking Ranks, when he goes into the academy, I thought that was pretty sweet. I liked how, I like how they just jump right in with the episodes. I mean, you are right in the fucking thick of it. Their cold opens are really good.
I thought I was lost at first. So I was like, how the fuck is Ezra part of the cadets all of a sudden, And then as they discuss, Kanan's throwing a fit up in the Ghost, and he's like, this is taking too long. And you find out he's been down there for weeks.
Yeah. It has been going on for quite a while. And I like how he said, I should have gone. She's like, yeah, you'd have made a great cadet.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of the dad batch, like worrying parents between like Hera and Kanan are kind of like the mom's the voice of reason, though. It's kind of a weird dynamic. She's like, he'll be fine. Just let him do his thing. He's never going to grow up if you don't cut the umbilical cord. And then Kanan,
let him go play. He'll be home when the lights turn on, the street lights.
So Ezra's deep undercover. He's in too deep with Omar Epps. Yeah. He's
because you always send a 15-year-old in undercover.
Deep into the Stormtrooper Academy. He's training. His code name is Dev Morgan, and then there's three others that seem to be like in his class. There's Jaikel and Zer Leonis, and then there's one more. I didn't get his name.
Oleg, he's a prick.
Yeah, Oleg. Fuck
that guy.
He's the one he shoves off the platform.
He's the Russian recruit for Stormtrooper. Oleg, I come to break you. Move away, American. Step away from blast door.
Yeah, the whole mission is they're trying for him to get information so they can stop this kyber crystal shipment. That's the whole reason he's in there, is to get information because Callus is there. And so, and Leonis, what is it, Zer? Leonis?
Zer, yep.
So he kind of is picking up that Ezra is up to something because he sees him like signaling Chopper, who's kind of relaying reports to everybody about what's going on. And he follows him and finds him snooping around Callus's office, getting the decoder disc. And then he saves him from walking out and setting off the alarm because apparently there's like a little sensor that if he walks out that door, he's fucked. He kind of saves him from doing that. And then he reveals that he's there undercover as well, trying to get trying to find out what happened to his sister because his sister disappeared.
So not only is there one child undercover, there are two. Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Inquisitor is kind of like, hey, if you get anyone that's really special, like, in the standouts in the training, let me know. So he's kind of trying to farm force.
Send me your children.
How much for the women?
Anyway, he's like, yeah, my boss really likes murdering children. So if you could get any that are force sensitive, he's all over it, please.
They all volunteer Oleg. Send Oleg up there. Don't take it. Don't take that prick. He's the only one causing problems. We're all trying to go get chocolate milk after class. Relax. Oleg's out there fucking ripping people's heads off. Zer and Ezra kind of get together and tag team it and sneak the fucking decoder out using the old force trick from the exhaust.
One's going to knock on the door, and bother the neighbor while the other one climbs through the window to steal the pie out of the oven.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. A lot of Dennis the Menace antics going on here.
What do you call that move? Maybe we do like an inverted fucking, X-Wing move or something. You probably didn't notice it because he was inverted. That's what it was.
But then Leonis kind of picks up on, I think does he walk by a conversation and hears the fact that they've called out Kel and Morgan, Ezra, as being like potentially gifted kids and that that the Inquisitor is gonna come and like get him. And so he's like, I think we need to bolt here, guys.
Oh, they're gonna. No, he comes by in the winner of the next competition. Nope, that's not right. You're right. But the winner of the next achievement or the next training session get to get a tour of the walker.
Right.
And that was where they were gonna plan their escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So.
But fucking Oleg ends up in the top 3, so he ruins the goddamn plan. And so Ezra's like, I'll figure out another way.
Fucking Russians.
Juggernaut. Fucking collusion is what that is.
Yeah.
Fucking rigged. He rigged the results somehow.
At some point, Hera and Kanan find the Kyber crystal shipment and like destroy the ship. I didn't know they were going to destroy it. I thought they were just going to like hijack it and get the Kyber crystals. They just like blew the fucking thing up.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, see, and they're the nice, compassionate ones. I don't think so. They just killed a bunch of people again.
Yeah, and not to mention they explode like a reactor apparently because there's got to be some fucking Kyber radiation floating around out there in
That's
the
a big ass
depths of space. You know,
Yeah,
bro.
I think so.
Poison an entire planet's water supply with that move.
Right.
Just
Not
saying.
not environmentalists. The
No, they
rebels.
are not. They're not a big fan of the global warming initiative.
No one go in this sector of space for about 1 million years.
Half-life of Kyber uranium is 3,000 millennia. So, just so you know.
So yeah, they use the walker to bust out, and Leonis is like, "I'm staying, man," because he wants to find his sister. So he kind of fakes like he got knocked out, trying to be a good soldier.
Yeah, he
And
does a really good stormtrooper. Just shoots across their nose, but not up it.
Yeah.
As they're racing away, and the stormtroopers are like, "Well, oh, they took it over."
I found that kind of fucking plot hole-ish a bit. The kind of flies in the face of the clones that what we fucking learned from the Clone Wars. The clones are supposed to be conscripts from across the galaxy and la-da-da-da. Well, they're training them too from a young age, apparently. So that kind of was news to me, right?
This is 15 years after.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe maybe they came up with an initiative or a training program. But either way, the fucking goddamn clones are just absolutely worthless. Like there's an episode
I
later
mean,
on.
stormtroopers.
What
They're
did I
not
say?
clones anymore.
Sorry, thank you very much. Thank you for correcting me. Depa Bilboba. Bilbo Depa Baggins.
Billabong.
That's fucking breaking me. They can't hit the fucking
Bilbo dildo.
They can't hit the broadside of a barn. There's a scene later on where Sabine just goes through and plays fucking Olympic gymnast, like twirling around shit, and the fucking clones are.
Is that where she does like the twirl and the belly jump off the
Swan
blowfish
dive.
or whatever it is?
No, it's where she's like setting. She's causing a distraction, and Zeb and Ezra like hijack the fucking big ass spaceship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's later on.
Yeah, they can't hit her.
Apparently,
She's very petite and very agile, so it's really hard to hit her.
She's like a gymnast. What is it from Seinfeld? Ukrainian.
Yeah, I've seen 5 episodes of Seinfeld, and you're always asking me.
She's very flexible.
Okay.
Ooh, Jerry.
Oh, by the way, I like how they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get you off world and all this stuff," and he's like, "Great. So thanks for like basically putting me in witness protection program the rest of my life. Thanks a fucking lot." He's so pissed off.
I need you to change your face, buddy. Sorry about that.
Like, we can help you with that. Well, we can help you with that too. He's not very happy about any of it.
And then the Inquisitor questions Leonis about Kel and Ezra because he recognizes Ezra, so he knows something's up. And then we get to the final episode of the first half, which is Out of Darkness. That is where Hera, Ezra, and Sabine are like trying to outrun the ties. There's that fucking music again, getting me. Lots more chatter about Fulcrum and his intel.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
This is where they start kind of giving. They start planting the seeds that they're involved in a bigger something.
Yes.
Is this the episode that Sabine's real upset that she's not getting the same one?
Does not like to be left in the dark.
Yeah, because this is boy, do they go back to this asteroid-filled planet about 5 more times?
Just once.
I'm like this. No, this is what is this? No, this is the same one where season 2. There's the big fight, right? Pretty sure that was that. I think it was that. I think
could
so.
be right. I can't remember now. It's been a while.
I don't want to give it away.
Fort Anaxes is the name of this place, and yes, that's where they go to pick up some cargo that has been left behind by Fulcrum. And Sabine demands to go because she wants to be, in the know on the whole thing. And this was, I guess, something that was it was an abandoned base from the Clone Wars, and so she also alludes to the fact that the reason why she's pissed about it is that back in Mandalore, she joined the Imperial Academy, and they were like, "Don't ask any questions," and shit went horribly wrong. So later on in the series, you get more of an explanation of exactly how bad it was for her when she was in the Imperial Academy. But this is the tip of the iceberg.
Bit of a trust issue. It's got some walls up.
So she kind of
show.
inserts herself on the mission to go down there because Fulcrum was going to leave him some supplies.
Yep.
And apparently the three amigos didn't run their diagnostics check correctly.
Right.
On
Dumb,
the
dumb.
fucking...
No, they ran it. They just didn't read it afterwards.
They didn't read it afterwards, and they got into a little fight. The fucking...
Anybody can take the reservation. Sorry, there's your sign.
It's the holding them. Anyone can take it.
Well, because at the beginning, when they're in their little fight with the TIE fighters, she, little rubbing, Racin's rubbing, right? Scrapes the mountain a little bit, and she just thinks they took off a little paint. But little do you know, there's fuel leaking.
Yeah.
So this plays into when they land on the asteroid and, they need to outrun the big creatures. Then, oh, shit, we can't take off.
And then it comes to like a episode of, or like a multiplayer of Halo where you got to fucking wave one incoming.
Yeah.
Shoot the barrel as it comes near.
Yeah, those things are called Fernox. I looked them up.
The fuel canisters?
No. The creatures.
The creatures. I'm sorry.
No, the fuel is called Rhydonium. And what's interesting about that
That's right.
is we saw that in the Clone Wars. It was
Yeah.
in that arc that we kind of hated at first, and then it got better right at the very end. And it's when that droid force is off on that like desolate planet, and they run into Gregor, and he's got amnesia, and he's got Rhydonium. He blows the fucking thing up to let them get away.
Isn't this the one? Was it Gregor? Or was it? I thought that was Echo. This is the one that played like Halo, that episode, right? And you think he dies, and we don't see him until like 2 seasons later.
Well, no, Gregor is the one we don't see again until Bad Batch, and we see him later.
I believe Rhydonium's also in The Mandalorian when they're Bill Burr helmetless driving the entire time, right?
Yes.
Oh, I think you're right. Good call.
That's what's warming up in the back, right? As they jostle around.
Yep, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So they do enough to survive. Basically, are on top of the Phantom at the end, shooting, just trying to hang on, and the ghost comes in and saves them, and they're able to get out of there. There's a note in the little Wikipedia thing. This is the last episode during 5 BBY, before the Battle of Yavin. So we're moving into 4 BBY, and you'll see why in the next episode when we get into Empire Day. So that's the first half.
Sounds like a great segue.
Yes. So should we do a little bit of Maul Bag real quick, and then we'll jump into...
Part 2.
I've been scratching my Maul Bag for the hour, so.
Just shaved my ball bag earlier today.
Yeah.
It's a little itchy.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
So email number 1 from Brian Auer. Listening to the crossover episode, congrats, Matt, on finding some who give 66%.
All right.
Oh, Brian.
We're done with this email.
Order 66. I'm going to order
Delete.
66.
I have refused to listen to the crossover episode.
Yes. Certain parties in Michigan
Yeah.
are boycotting that entire
Yeah.
feed.
Surprise,
Protest.
Matt. We didn't listen.
Can you at
How
least
does it
download
feel?
it? We need the downloads.
We need you to tell us. We need to take 2 hours and you break it down for us. What happened, word for word.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I don't even want to know their names.
We want an episode rundown from you from the episode you did. You cheating fuck.
Or
So Brian says, I feel I need to chime in on the Bad Batch discussion. I have said it before.
Well, actually, here comes.
Here comes the well, actually.
Oscar.
As we have moved into this new Disney era, I do see quite a bit lifted from the Legends line of novels, especially those of Timothy Zahn and Michael Stackpole / Aaron Alliston, X-Wing series. This is overall a good thing, as we have seen Thrawn, I'm going to say these names wrong, Rook, Salamir, the Star Destroyer Chimera, all show up from the Zahn novels. Are you familiar with some of this stuff? Have you read any of these things?
The Yelsamir, if I recall, that's the stuff that takes away the Jedi power. It comes from this tree that's in the Thrawn novels.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
it actually
familiar.
it's like the Jedi kryptonite.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember if it's a living creature, or if it's just like a giant fucking acorn, but it's something.
Yeah, I think it's a creature. That sounds vaguely familiar.
I really like the acorn line though. Leave it in.
The acorn line will stay.
Okay.
For the Bad Batch, I would point to his Allegiance and Choice of One novels, which feature 5 stormtroopers just after the Battle of Yavin who are forced to run from the Empire but still wish to hold on to their beliefs of helping people. Whoa. These are stormtroopers who believed in helping people? Brian, that's not how it works.
Stormtroopers have feelings too.
No, they don't. He says 5, just like the Bad Batch, only this time they call themselves the Hand of Judgment. Jesus Christ, that sounds like a Montana cult. The Hands of Judgment?
Yeah. They're waiting for an
fuck is
asteroid
that?
to pass by and jump on a spaceship to fly in.
We are the law.
Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
What is that from?
The Hand of Judgment. Judge, I don't know. Judge, executioner, and what is he?
Judge, Jury, and Executioner.
That's the one. Yep.
That's the one.
A leader, a pilot, a scout trooper, a sniper, and a reg. 5 who, like the Bad Batch, just want to make their way in the world and eventually find purpose with the 501st serving under Thrawn. I propose, he's proposing, are you listening, Dave? That possibly the Bad Batch could end up the same way, heading off to the unknown regions to serve Vice Admiral Thrawn. Sincerely, Brian, 95%. Very, very cocky.
Full of
Power.
himself.
Oh.
The Asalamir were lizard-like tree dwellers, about 50 centimeters in length, native to the planet of Myker.
Here comes your FACPAtoid.
Most known for their ability to repel the force by creating a force-neutral bubble.
Yeah.
So you were right.
There you go. Thank you, Brian. Email number 2. Mike Laybourne.
Hold on. I just want to say, Brian, I love you, but you know what? Thank you for listening.
Hope you win the Darksaber.
Yeah.
There was a tweet by, I think they say this guy's name wrong. Phil Zostak. How do you say his name?
He's the one that he's always dropping all the
art stuff.
the pre-art.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
When they work on stuff.
Concepts.
Yeah. Yep.
So there was a tweet that he sent out that read, Sahara was one of 7 films Rian Johnson screened at Lucasfilm in July and August of 2014, following his first official day on The Last Jedi on July 2nd. Other films included 3 Outlaw Samurai, Letter Never Sent, 12 O'Clock High, and The Bridge on the River Kwai. So Mike asks, which movie do the FACPA panel watch to get ready for recording? I'm going to guess Cole watches the program. Just a hunch.
Now, who released that? Was that Touchstone or Disney, guys?
Disney.
It's Disney, guys.
I like,
you got
I like how you guys took me really serious.
Like you got a glimpse
He's mad.
behind. Hey,
Yes,
you
he is.
got a glimpse behind the mirror there, Matt. What I have to deal with on a daily basis.
That's a car ride. I know things.
Don't try to argue with him.
I knew you weren't mad. I was just poking.
Yeah.
I always watch the Attack of the Clones just so I have like an edge to me every time we record.
Like you feel you're going in with something better than what was offered.
Right.
You pull up in the sand scene, and then you just sit there and seethe.
That's an interesting thing. I'd like to come back to this, like maybe on another episode. Let's come back to this because, like, if you were going to make a Star Wars movie or project, like, what would be the 7 like inspirational films you would take from?
Yeah, let's save that for a full-on discussion.
Yeah.
I like that.
Question
All
of the
right,
week.
write this down when you're editing
I will.
because I don't even remember what the question was.
I know you already forgot.
All right.
That's it for the mails. Thank you everybody for sending those in.
There was an acorn in it. I remember that.
Apple call. Who's it for?
All right, we have one more FACPAtoid here for you. So here it is. I'm going to give it to you. Lucas toyed with the idea of many different casting variations at points during production of A New Hope. He flirted with the idea of casting only African American actors, then possibly using only Japanese actors, such as Akira Kurosawa, favorite, whatever that actor's name is, as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then possibly using only little people. Of the latter, Lucas said, I think that idea was a little influenced by Lord of the Rings. Could you imagine? Like if this movie was all little people?
Hobbits?
Yeah.
Like Hobbit-sized people?
And so was Obi-Wan, would he be the Ian McKellen of the group?
I would think so. That would have to be. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but I feel like at some point there'd be a lot of people like, rip off.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, not that they don't say that about other things that he's, been inspired by, of course. But like the Hidden Fortress and all that other stuff.
Right.
But yeah, is this why the Ewoks came about then in the end? He was just like, I got to get him in there somewhere.
Holy shit. You know what? That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also heard that Spielberg was like, you need to make something cute. So
after
put the Ewoks in.
E.T., because this would have been right after E.T.
Yeah.
Or during the making of E.T. when because one was 82, 83, right? E.T. was 82?
E.T. was 82, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for the FACPAtoid.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, George Lucas. Anybody else have anything else?
I think we've exhausted our knowledge. We're not 95%ers like someone.
Oh.
How's bragging camp, Brian? Everyone else except for Brian, thanks for listening. Until next time.
Never tell us the odds.
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Brian, I hope you lose the Hallmark Channel. We have spoken. Monkey poo.